Hello. Welcome back to Around the Boxes. We are here. My hair is a mess. I need a haircut really badly. But, hello. My camera keeps kind of falling off its position there. I'm trying to keep it centered as best as I can. But, welcome back to another episode of Around the Boxes, episode number 14. We have made it to 14. Today's going to be a pretty run-of-the-mill episode for you. Just got my pickups for this week. Not a lot of back issues, mostly just new books. As I'm sure you guys know at this point, I missed quite a bit of work because of COVID and related complications, so can't exactly be buying a lot of comic books off eBay right now. But I am back to work now, so hopefully in the next few episodes we'll get back to some good pickups. But mostly I have some new books. Some of these books came out a few weeks ago, but I only just now got them because my comic store had sold out of them and I had to order them online. I think I mentioned that in a past episode. So that is some of these books, but a lot of pretty good stuff. I've definitely been enjoying a lot of the new releases coming out lately, so we definitely have lots to talk about. So, in case you missed it, just yesterday, 2 days ago, Webheads Comic Club is back with a new episode. We had obviously been on quite a hiatus during all of that COVID stuff, but we are back. A couple of things I did want to mention. I noticed too late, unfortunately, that JP's mic is a little bit quieter than mine in that episode, and then of course I'm gasping for air the whole time, so I know that is a little bit annoying. I'm going to be taking some steps to try to make that a little bit better in the future, obviously getting the audio balancing better, but I can only control it so much. If I'm breathing weird, not much I can do about that, but we are back, bringing those episodes back every single week, so those will be back on Mondays, and then now that I am able to come back and make videos again, I have some new stuff in the works that I'm not going to announce quite yet, but gonna be continuing to expand and bring more content out, because I really enjoy making these videos and making these streams and doing all this stuff. So stay tuned for that. I will have more concrete things to announce in the next couple of weeks, I would say. But that's all I'm gonna say for now. I might actually have a teaser in a future episode of Around the Boxes, possibly next week. And I am going to be doing something a little bit different with next week's episode of Around the Boxes, so definitely tune into that. We're going to be doing still doing the pickups and everything like that, but I want to actually have a bit of a discussion about a specific topic. I wasn't quite ready for it this week, so we're going to do that next week, and try that out, see how it goes, see what you guys think. It'll definitely be a little bit different. I'm a little nervous to do it, but we'll see how it goes. But anyway, I think we can just go ahead and dive into the new pickups. That's all I really got for today, which is good because it is still hard for me to talk for extended periods of time, so I don't want to be gasping for air this whole time, so we might continue to be slightly shorter episodes. If you did not see the last episode, by the way, which I'm going to continue to just shout myself out here for a second, go and check out, if you did not see Around the Boxes episode 13. Obviously, you can see there CGC Hall. I mean, if you're watching these videos for good pickups, that is the episode to go and watch. I mean, awesome books picked up in that episode. So definitely go and miss that if you didn't see it. Go and miss that. Go and watch that. I'm misspeaking now. Go and watch it if you didn't see it. And check out all the past episodes. If you look, so I don't know if you guys have actually checked out the channel, but I have it all sorted here. So we got Around the Boxes with all those episodes. We got Webheads Comic Club here. And as I add some new series down the line, those will continue to be on the homepage. So I always like to point that out because when you go to videos, it's kind of a jumbled mess, especially when you have shorts and different series and all of that. So home is definitely the place to go. You can kind of see it all laid out nice and neatly. Yeah, new episodes every Wednesday. Actually, I need to update this. I mentioned last episode that I am now on Instagram, so I need to get my Instagram on here. It is over here, but I need to get it listed on there, and I also need to get it updated on here. I don't know why I have DA Comics there, because that's the channel you're watching this on. So I need to get my Instagram and my TikTok down there, which I have not been posting on. I have yet to post on Instagram. I have not posted on TikTok in a long time, and occasionally I'll tweet out some stuff. But I was mostly focusing on coming back to YouTube first because I kind of just took a break from everything while I was sick. So I've come back to YouTube and started doing these episodes, and those other socials will be starting or resuming very soon. I'm going to be posting out TikToks, trying to post them out pretty regularly. Clips from the podcast, clips from this, just original TikToks. I'm going to try and post some Instagram posts and continue to be on Twitter. So if you're on any of those socials, definitely go and give me a follow there, or stay tuned for when I do start posting and see if it's the type of content you want to follow. But that's enough self-advertisement. I don't mean to just put a commercial in the beginning of every episode, but I like to make sure you guys kind of know what's going on in the world of me. So anyway, let's dive into some comic books, shall we? So first book that I picked up this week, these are actually my pickups for the last 2 weeks because I did not have an episode last week, but this is Dark Ages number 5. I feel the same about this as I did about the last few issues that I've discussed on this series. Dark Ages started with an interesting premise, and it's kind of lost my interest since. It's not that it's not good, it's just, I don't know. The stakes aren't there for me, in my opinion. Maybe it's because it's an Elseworld story, but there's plenty of Elseworld stories that are really good. I just haven't really been enjoying it. It's an interesting concept, but it's not quite what I was hoping for. It's a little too lighthearted, in my opinion. I mean, it's called Dark Ages, so you would think that I thought it was going to be a very dark and kind of grounded story, but it's still pretty lighthearted and like goofy, which isn't exactly the vibe that I was hoping for. But I'm gonna keep picking it up to the conclusion of the series. Just as a collector, I want to have every issue in the story, and plus I should read it to the end before I really give it my judgment. So I don't know if the next issue is the last issue, if it's going to be a 6-issue series, if it's going to be more than that. I have no clue, but that's what we got so far. Next up, this is a book that came in the mail today, actually. That was why I am doing this today and not yesterday, because this package was coming in the mail, but it is Devil's Reign number 3. This came out a while ago, and my comic store sold out of it, so I had to order online, and it took a little while to come here, but I had picked up Devil's Reign number 4, and I've had it for a few weeks, but I didn't show it in around the boxes because I hadn't read it yet, because I was waiting until I got 3. But all in all, I'm enjoying Devil's Reign. As Marvel events go, Marvel miniseries go, I think it is an interesting one. It's kind of like Civil War, but on a more grounded level. I do like how it really has to do with Daredevil a lot. Like, he's kind of the main character in it, which you don't see a lot, especially in the Marvel crossovers. I mean, Daredevil's definitely not one of the bigger characters. It's usually themed around Captain America or Iron Man or any of those. But it's obviously Wilson Fisk and Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Luke Cage and all of these characters from the Netflix shows. So if you liked the Marvel Netflix shows, you should definitely be reading this series because it does have to do with a lot of those characters. So that is something as well that I have been enjoying, is that, and then issue 4. Love this cover with the rhino on it. I love that Dr. Octopus is also involved in this story, because he's obviously a favorite character of mine, and seeing him in a more important role in the Marvel Universe, like in a major Marvel crossover, is pretty cool to see. So, glad he's not just kind of... He went through some weird years with Superior Spider-Man, but then after that, when he was kind of Superior Octopus, and then he was Superior Spider-Man, but on the West Coast, and then he's been all over the place. So I'm glad he's kind of back in his own body, sort of. I think he's back in his own body. I don't know. I've lost track of the timeline a little bit, but it doesn't matter too much. He's around, and he's doing things, and he's plotting, and I like to see that. Next book is another one I had to order in the mail. This is Avengers 53. Store sold out of it. Had to order online. Same story. I also they sold out of Black Panther. They sold out of a lot of the books that I bought this week, or have in this episode. But one that I do not have still is Black Panther number 3. And Legacy 200. My comic store sold out of it, and now it's selling for ridiculously upscaled prices online, so I just haven't been able to get it. So I don't know, I might just have to look up a summary of the story and then continue with issue 4, but it's going to bother me as a collector not having that issue 3, so I gotta figure out if I can get my hands on one of those. So if anyone has a connection, if you know a store that has them, let me know, because I'm trying to get myself a Black Panther number 3. But talking about Avengers 53, this is part 3 of the Death Hunters, which is the story kind of introducing the multiversal Masters of Evil, whatever they're called. This issue specifically dealt a lot with Doom Supreme and the child Thanos, which I mentioned it, I think, when I talked about the last issue, that it is weird to me that they have child Thanos and not grown Thanos. But all in all, I've been enjoying it. I do feel like, I don't know, something about this book. I don't know if it's the art or the way it's written or what. I just, for some reason, don't look forward to each new issue, which is generally a metric that I try to make sure that I am for every book that I'm picking up. Because if I'm not looking forward to a new issue, then I probably shouldn't be spending money on that series. But I still continue to pick this up because it is the Avengers, and I want to pick up the main Avengers series, and because it is cool. I mean, I don't know what it is that I can't quite put my finger on it. Like, the Multiverse Masters of Evil, cool. The Avengers lineup, pretty good. But there's just something about the book that it just hasn't hooked me. It just doesn't get me excited for new issues, and I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. But if you're a big Avengers fan, I mean, I would definitely recommend checking it out, reading it for yourself. This is just my opinion. I actually think I'll probably be excited when there is a new creative team for a new Avengers run, because I think that'll be a chance to maybe change that. And I do really want to love the Avengers series, but I just have not with this series. Maybe a little bit when it first started, but since then, not much. Speaking of books that I am not excited for, Miles Morales, Spider-Man 35. I have said it every single issue that has come out. I do not like this series. I don't know. Well, I do know some of the things I don't like about it. But I want to like it. I really like the character of Miles Morales. That's why I pick it up, because it's a main Spider-Man title. It's a main Spider-Man character. I want to read it. But I honestly think that the biggest problem with this book is the writer, Saladin Ahmed, which he's written some of the Beyond issues in the main Spider-Man series, and those have been good. But every single issue of this series, it just reads so quickly. I mean, I read it in 5 minutes. I don't know if it's less pages than your average comic book, but also, I mean, let me open this up a little bit. Let me dissect this. Now, part of it is because I started picking it up about 10 issues ago. I still don't quite know the backstory with this assessor guy. I know that him and Miles kind of have some beef. I do not like the character of Shift. Very weird. It's this Miles Morales clone that's big and muscular and only speaks with the word glurp. It just feels really silly. It feels really childish. Glurp. I don't know. Just seems kind of dumb. They should have just made it a Miles Morales clone. I mean, we've had Peter Parker clones, and it would be cool to have Miles Morales clones, but instead he's Mr. Glurp. The Assessor is cool. This kind of computer program. I mean, he's a creepy-looking dude in the suit. But you'll look at this page, and look at how much dialogue actually happens. You read this page in 10 seconds. Then you go to the next page, and it's kind of a similar story. Now, I'm not saying that a good comic book needs to have a lot of dialogue, because that is not true at all. But I'll show you when we get to it. If you compare this to some of the Amazing Spider-Man issues that I really like, you'll see there's a lot more writing. And the reason why is because that's more story. I mean, comic books are a visual medium, and the art is important. And the art does tell a story. But you need some writing in there to really tell a good story. And I feel like these books just, I don't know. I think they're writing it for a younger audience. And that makes sense. So I'm not going to say that it's bad, because it's probably not. It's just that I don't enjoy it. So if you do, I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments, what your guys' thoughts are on this comic book. I think it's possible that it is just written for a younger audience, since it is the younger Spider-Man. Maybe they're trying to make it a more kid-friendly book. But I've never been able to get interested. The story flows really strangely. I mean, you read this book, they're fighting the Assessor. And spoiler alert, if you haven't read this issue yet and you don't want it spoiled, they beat the Assessor, they get to the end, they discover this multiversal technology, and Miles is like, oh, I should tell Peter and Ben about this. And then immediately he's like, oh, just kidding, I'm going to go and find Uncle Aaron. And it's just, that's the end. And it feels like a really abrupt shift. no pun intended, at the end there, that I just think is really weird. So I am going to continue picking up every single issue purely because as a collector, I want to have them. And also, you know, as a reader, I'm going to keep reading them and hoping that maybe it will change my mind. But I am pretty much just waiting. What's the saying? I was waiting with bated breath. Is that the saying? I am waiting impatiently for a new creative team on this book because I really think that while it should be written that a younger audience can enjoy it, I don't think it needs to be written exclusively for a younger audience. I mean, you look at the main Spider-Man series, that's clearly written to be kid-friendly, but it's not childish, you know? It's enjoyable as an adult and mature reader, so I would rate this pretty low. 4 out of 10 is my rating. I don't like to be so critical of a Spider-Man book, but it's just not doing anything for me, and it needs to do more. But continuing on, we got Fantastic Four, issue number 40. This is Reckoning War, part 2, I think. I mean, there was Reckoning War Alpha, and then there was this. They're just not really labeling it. But this is continuing the Reckoning War story in the actual Fantastic Four book. One thing I do think is funny that I just noticed, you have the Dan Slott and then Stott. You have Slott and Stott. But this is really good. I did really enjoy it. I really like, and I mentioned this with Reckoning War Alpha, I like that Fantastic Four is dealing with more cosmic threats, you know, Silver Surfer and the Watcher and Galactus and all these characters, because they are all from the Fantastic Four originally. So it's nice to see that happening in Reckoning War. But I don't really have much other thoughts about it other than that. I don't want to spoil anything about it, so you should definitely go read it yourself. But it's heading in an interesting direction, and I'm curious to see how the Fantastic Four are going to come out of this. You know, I mean, I don't know how Reckoning War is going to end, but I'm curious to see when it does, you know, what is it going to look like in the Fantastic Four book after that. So that's something we're going to have to wait and see. The next book. Very nice cover. Hulk. Issue number 4, legacy number 771. We're going to be probably hitting 800 in this creative run, which is going to be pretty cool to see. And Fantastic Four is coming up on 700 as well, so we have a lot of big milestones coming. But you guys know, as I've talked about every issue of Hulk in the past episodes of Around the Boxes, I have not been enjoying this book very much, mostly because I don't know what's going on. I don't understand the state in which Hulk is. It doesn't really make sense to me as a new reader. I will continue to state that criticism. I think this book does not do a good job of setting up new readers to the current story. But now that we're a few issues into the book, I am starting to be able to follow the story of this series. In the sense of, I still have no clue how Hulk became how he is. I don't know how Bruce became how he is. But I'm following the story of the series, which is this kind of, he's in another universe, and the state of that universe, and the threats that exist there. It's interesting. It's kind of strange how a Hulk book has become a multiversal, like otherworld story, you know, kind of like Dark Ages. We're seeing another universe with another Bruce Banner, another Peter Parker, another Thunderbolt Ross, and that's not what I expected from this book. I hope it's just this one storyline. I hope that he doesn't like stay here for an extended period of time. I hope that it kind of wraps up in the next few issues, and then we can kind of slow things down and maybe establish a setting and establish context, and I can figure out what the heck is going on. So I will say with each issue that has passed, it has improved, in my opinion, to where I've actually been able to follow it a little bit better. I've been able to actually enjoy it. But it still suffers from that same issue of just lacking the background and the context that I need to understand fully what is going on. It is not there, so I will continue to pick this book up. I really hope for it to be good. I love Donny Cates as a writer. Ryan Ottley's an incredible artist, and Hulk is an awesome character, so that's all I can really say about that. Next book I did not know was coming out until I saw it on the shelf, and I decided, you know what? I'm going to pick it up. It is Iron Fist number 1. Now, the reason I picked this up, there's a couple of reasons. One, I actually used to really like Iron Fist. I don't know if anyone who has been subscribed to me back in the olden days remembers. I used to pick up some Iron Fist back issues back when I was a kid. I thought he was a really cool character. I really liked I had a Marvel team up that was Spider-Man and Iron Fist, and I thought that was super cool. But I used to pick up some Iron Fist back issues, so I've always kind of been interested in the character. I really enjoyed the Netflix series. But ultimately, what I love to see with this book is that it's a new character. So it is not Danny Rand. It's a new character, which I think one thing we can all hopefully agree on, it's an Asian character, which it should be. I think the fact that Iron Fist, this, clearly, what's the word? Character clearly inspired by, I think it's Chinese culture. I might be wrong. I apologize if I am. Clearly inspired by Chinese culture. It's this martial arts superhero, and it's been this white blonde guy for 50 years. That is a little bit weird. Now, Danny Rand's a cool character, and it makes sense in the story. But you can understand from the outside looking in, when they made the Iron Fist show, why a lot of people were like, why is it this white guy? I thought it was going to be some Asian character. And that's why they borrowed heavily from Iron Fist's mythos for the Shang-Chi movie. I mean, the parallels to be drawn there between the village they were in and Kunlun and the dragon, and there was obviously some parallels there. So I think it was about time we actually have an Asian Iron Fist, especially because now if they are going to adapt the Iron Fist into the MCU, they will probably do this version of the character. I understand the Netflix shows are kind of canon in the MCU, but they could easily say, okay, Danny Rand's not the Iron Fist anymore, now it's this guy, just like this comic book did. But the other thing, this book does appear to be, now I do not know these creators, but given names, and I'm making some assumptions, but it appears to be made by some Asian creators as well, which is awesome to see, because that is another issue that people talk about a lot is, how can you have this, Black Panther if it's written by some white guy, So they had Ta-Nehisi Coates writing Black Panther for a long time, and he did a great job, and they have a new creator on there. So I don't think it's a requirement to publish these books, but it is something that I think, provides more diversity in the creators of comic books. It gives more, credibility to the stories that they tell. Authenticity. I think that's the word I was looking for. It gives more authenticity to the stories they tell. So I'm here for the ride. I'm fully on board. I wanted to pick it up and see how it was. And I will say, as issue ones go, it definitely piqued my interest. It did a lot better job than She-Hulk did. It definitely piqued my interest of, seeing this new character and hearing a little bit about his origin. And, I'm curious to see where his story goes. And what's going to happen. It's an interesting take on the character. I think it's super awesome. So if you are an Iron Fist fan, or if you're looking for a new series, I would definitely recommend picking it up. I think it'll be a pretty good run, and all in all, I felt like it was written pretty well. So I'm on board with it. I'm excited to pick up issue 2. I think it's going to be really good. So gets a thumbs up from me for Iron Fist number 1. But the next couple of books, this first one I had to order online. It is Thor 21. This one was kind of hard to find. I don't know why. It's sold out because it's the first full appearance of the God of Hammers. But I don't really think that's going to be a super valuable key issue. I don't think this book is going to be worth a ton of money. But it's a continuation of the God of Hammers storyline, which is super good. I can't really talk about this issue much without talking about the next issue as well, Thor number 22. Love that cover, super colorful. But God of Hammers is super interesting. I don't want to spoil what happened in these books, but there was a major event that happened. I think it was in this one. So this one is also a key issue for that reason. But I am so excited to go into the next issue because Thor, and this isn't really a spoiler to show this, Thor has hit a new power level, and he looks cool. He looks awesome. So, continues to be nothing but hits coming out of this series. Now, this is the book that gives me faith in Donny Cates' writing. I haven't been enjoying the Hulk, but his Thor, man, his Thor is good, and his Venom run was really good. So, I know that he's a great writer, and I love this series. This is easily one of my favorite books that I am picking up right now. This is one of those books where every single week, when I'm checking to see what books are coming out, I'm checking if Thor's there. Like, I'm excited for the next issue. And the next one is going to be the conclusion to God of Hammers, so I am very excited for that. And then we're going towards, after that, it'll be issue 750. So that'll be a big milestone, and then hopefully the run keeps going. I don't want Donny Cates to go anywhere anytime soon. I think he's done nothing but bangers on this series. So keep it going, man. Keep it going. Oh man, what to say about this next book? Venom number 5. Legacy 205. You guys know I've been disappointed with this Venom run so far, and I'm not going to rehash the same points I've made in the first 4 issues. What I will say is this book finally addressed Eddie Brock, because the first 4 issues have been pretty much entirely Dylan Brock. And going into this series, I was really excited to have Dylan and Eddie Brock, and I've missed the presence of Eddie Brock, because what this series kind of was advertised as, or seemed like it was going to be, was this kind of team-up between Dylan Brock as the street-level Venom, and then Eddie Brock as this cosmic-level Venom, right? Kind of get the best of both worlds of the symbiote's history. That has not quite been the case. It's mostly been Dylan Brock, but now we're getting Eddie Brock, and I'm hoping, as we're coming to a close on this first storyline, that it will kind of establish back to a more normal state. Because the series kind of started with a disruption of their arrangement, so to speak, and I kind of want to get back to that. It is written by Al Ewing, who wrote Immortal Hulk. Him and Donny Cates kind of just switched books. He came over to Venom, and Donny Cates went over to Hulk, and has not been my favorite Venom run so far. At least it has really big shoes to fill, and it has not been able to fill it. I'm not going to talk about the art. You guys know I do not like the art. That it remains to be the case for this book. But I'm really hoping that it'll pick up, because I want the Venom series to be good. I mean, that Donny Cates run was so good, and I wish he would come back to I wish him and Al Ewing would switch back. I wish he would go back to Hulk and Donny Cates would come back to Venom. I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm waiting for Venom to wow me, basically. Each issue that comes out, I'm like, all right, maybe this one will be better. And it's a little bit better, but it's still not wowing me, which is really what I'm looking for right now. But this next book really did wow me. I was not expecting this, because I did not know it was actually coming out. And then I went to the comic store, went over to the new bookshelf, and I saw it on there, and I was like, okay, well, I have to pick this up, obviously. It is Carnage Forever, number 1. It's the only issue. It's a one-shot. Celebrating the 30th anniversary of Carnage. Now, you guys know I love Carnage. I have his first appearance signed by Mark Bagley right over there. He's pretty much my favorite villain of all time, so if there's a new Carnage book, I'm picking it up. So I decided to pick this book up, and wow, was it really, really good. There were a couple stories in here, and it's setting up for a Carnage series. Now, I do not know if this Carnage series is going to be a mini-series or what it is, but Carnage number 1 there. I'll definitely be picking that up. That should be on sale next month. But there were kind of 3 stories, more like 2 stories in this book. And the first one was very good. I'm not going to spoil it. I think you should read it yourself if you are a Carnage fan, but I will warn you, it is scary. I mean, this is clearly written as a horror comic, which I think is a good vibe for Carnage. I really don't want to spoil anything about it, but it is just properly spooky. You should definitely read it yourself if you are a Spider-Man fan, Carnage fan. It's graphic. It is psychological. It is scary. It just really plays into the side of Carnage, which is that he's crazy. I mean, that's what makes Carnage so compelling as a character, is because he is absolutely insane. He's a serial killer with the powers of Venom. You know, Venom at least has a moral compass that always kind of kept him from being too dangerous. Carnage doesn't have that. So all in all, I think Carnage Forever was really, really good. It was definitely worth the $5 if you want a really good Carnage read. But I'm telling you, it's spooky. Be ready for it. But I am excited for the new series. I need to look into it a little bit more and see. Let's look into it live right now. Because I want to see if it's actually a mini-series or if it's going to be an ongoing series. Like, what's going on there? I wasn't able to pick up Ghost Rider 1. My store was sold out of that. I might try and order that online because I did want to pick that up. Seeing that Johnny Storm was back is pretty cool. But, let's see. No, these are all old. Let's go to news, maybe? Is there Comix news? Would it be in here somewhere? Ben Reilly, yada. Okay, let's do Carnage number 1, March 2022. Ongoing series. They confirmed an ongoing Carnage series following February's Carnage Forever number 1. It's part of the first week's worth of March titles that get shoved on the end of the solicitations. Because Marvel Comics has moved their FOC dates back 1 week as part of being distributed by Penguin Random House, that also includes the What If Miles Morales series and yada yada. Cool. So it's going to be an ongoing series. We'll see how long it actually lasts. In the past, whenever they've done Carnage ongoing series, they never actually made it to that many issues, but I'm here for it. I mean, if I generally don't like when they do series for villains, it's kind of the same way I feel about when they do movies for villains. It's like, I want to see him fight Spider-Man. I don't want to see him be him, but I mean, if Venom gets his own series, Carnage definitely deserves his own series, and Carnage is obviously my favorite, so I'm excited for that. That's actually going to be really good. Starts, they said, the first week in March, so would that be next week? That might be next Wednesday. So, yeah, on sale. So next week, Carnage number 1. I'm excited for that. That's going to be awesome. So, definitely we'll be talking about that next week. So, I was excited to pick that up. Positive. Much better than the Venom issue, that's for sure. Last couple books here. These are the books. I always save the best for last. And these are the ones that I am always looking forward to. Specifically, these last couple series are my favorite series that I'm picking up. This first one is a relatively newer series that I had read, and that is Saga 56. If you saw my past couple episodes of Around the Boxes, I had never read Saga, and then I picked up the compendium for issue 1 through 1 through 54, and read the entire series before they released issue 55 last month. Picked up issue 55, and then now picking up 56. So Saga is genuinely a series where every single month I'm looking forward to the new issue. I mean, it's that good. That's the best compliment I can give it, is I constantly am looking forward to, like, oh, this is a Saga week. You know, when I'm looking at my Wednesdays, there's weeks where there's no Saga, there's no Spider-Man, there's no nothing. I'm like, okay, I'll pick up a couple books, but I'm not that excited for it. And then there's the weeks where I have Saga, where I have Spider-Man. There's things that I'm looking forward to. And this book was really, really good. Can't say much about it without spoiling story, and I don't like to spoil, but I will say the ending was very unexpected, so definitely a good twist. There's a few new characters introduced in this book, and one of them, you kind of meet him throughout the book, and then some things change at the end of the book, and that definitely shook me a little bit. So if you're not picking this book up and you enjoy reading comic books, definitely pick this up. And as a collector, it's cool to have as well. I mean, I don't doubt that these books will be worth something one day, but it's definitely just some of the best comic book story out there. It's so different. It's so unique. It's definitely worth a try. If you haven't read it, go pick up. You don't have to pick up the compendium. Just go pick up the first volume, read the first 5-10 issues, and really get a feel for it and see if you like it. But if you guys are not reading Saga, seriously, you're missing out. Pick it up now. There's no better time than now to jump into it. If you do like it, you can pick up the compendium, read issue 1 through 54, go out and pick up 55 and 56. I mean, they just started releasing these again. They're going to be doing another 54 issues, so it's a great time to jump on board. That is why I did it, and I highly recommend you guys do it as well. I'm loving it. So very excited for the next issue. I'm still waiting to see where the heck Goose is. For those of you who have read Saga and you know what I'm talking about, Goose has not been in the last couple issues, and I want to know where Goose is, because he is my favorite character in the entire book. So, where the heck is Goose? That's my question. But, last 2 books. Man, there's a lot to talk about here. First, we have The Amazing Spider-Man 89 and 90. Now, I'm going to talk about 89 first. Both of these books were really, really good. I loved them. Written by Patrick Gleason, art by Mark Bagley. I love seeing Mark Bagley back on Spider-Man. He was around a little bit in Nick Spencer's run. I love seeing him on this run because Mark Bagley is obviously one of my favorite artists of all time, and he does a great job. But I mentioned earlier that you would notice a difference between Miles Morales Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man when I talk about the amount of dialogue in here. You look at this page alone. Do you see there's narration, there's dialogue, there's things happening. Now, I want to point out this beautiful Mark Bagley art here. This book has 2 double-page spreads. I mean, Mark Bagley came swinging for this book. But you look at this dialogue and narration and thought bubbles. I mean, it makes a huge difference in the story because it feels like there's actually a lot happening. I mean, you look at it. There's so much going on. And that is very positive. I love that Black Cat is back in the series. Now, I want to talk about the rest of this issue, but I don't want to spoil for anyone who hasn't read it. If you haven't read it, obviously, spoiler alert, I'm going to be talking about story spoilers. Goblin Queen attacking Mary Jane. Peter wants to go help. Black Cat webs him to the bed. What is my hair doing? Now, I mentioned it in the title of this video. I fully thought, right here, that Black Cat was going to die. I thought they were killing her because she's falling, and you can see they really built it up. I mean, she's crying there in that panel. You see her teardrops fall. It seems like a really dramatic moment, and then the web shoots through the tear and saves Black Cat, and what do you know? It's Peter there to save the day. I thought this was a really awesome moment. I really liked this because when I was reading it the first time, I thought, holy crap, they're killing Black Cat. And I love Black Cat as a character, so I was shook. I thought they were properly going to be killing off a major Spider-Man character in a really dramatic moment. And that would have been a really cool way to, establish Queen Goblin as a proper Goblin, right? Because Queen Goblin, let's be real, she's kind of a knockoff Goblin. And so having her kill Black Cat almost immediately would have been a huge twist. But ultimately, I think they made I'm glad that they didn't, because now Black Cat is still around. And it seems like Black Cat and Mary Jane are getting along well, and her and Peter are getting along well, so I really hope going into the new run that Black Cat is actually a recurring character again. Because I feel like she's been kind of missing from the Spider-Man universe for a while now. So I hope that him and MJ stay together, and then Black Cat's around and all of that, but another great moment here, and this is another double-page spread. I love. It's kind of a reference to the Avengers. Obviously, when Bruce Banner says, "That's my secret, Cap. I'm always angry," and he hulks up. Peter saying, "That's my secret, Cat. I'm never ready." That's just proper Peter Parker humor. Love to see him back in the suit, though. And great Mark Bagley art. I mean, that's an awesome double spread there. And obviously, he's going off to face off against Queen Goblin, and then we dive into the next issue. So loved 89, loved it. It was awesome, and I was very excited when I did see that issue 90 had the same creative team on it, which meant it was going to be another banger pretty much. But issue 90 came out this week. I love that these books are coming out weekly. I know they're not going to maintain that after Beyond, but it's great right now. But again, Mark Bagley art, Patrick Gleason writing. We get to see a little bit more of Ben Reilly, and he is off, man. He is off. And it's clear to me that this Beyond Saga, I mean, we've seen the covers they've released, but Beyond Saga is going to end with Peter and Ben fighting. I mean, I feel like that's a pretty obvious one. But once again, bringing back the double-page spreads from Mark Bagley. I mean, he just knocks it out of the park with this art. I love the way he draws Spider-Man. I mean, you just look at his eyes are the right size, the way his anatomy looks, his muscles. I mean, we've talked about a lot of different Spider-Man artists, Humberto Ramos being the biggest example. More recently, I don't remember the artist's name, but sometimes they get the anatomy wrong. John Romita Jr., who's about to be on the creative run, sometimes the body looks weird. Sometimes his face looks weird. And I feel like Mark Bagley just always does a great job of making him look proper and good. But this issue has Peter fighting Queen Goblin. He's officially back. Not 100%, but he's officially back. And there was I loved this scene where he fell into the water. And it kind of reminded me of the issue that Patrick Gleason wrote where Peter was in the hospital. Where it's kind of just him reminding himself, like, never give up. You know, you can do this. Kind of getting that confidence, getting that positivity back. I thought it was a really moving moment. These issues definitely feel like the climax of Beyond. I mean, we're at chapter 16. I think there's 3 more. So we're really getting to the big moments of Beyond, and I'm enjoying it. Honestly, I would say I will probably have a long discussion about the whole series at the end. Like, after we get chapter 19, I'll probably have a whole episode around the boxes where I'll talk about Beyond and my thoughts on it and whether it was good or not. But right now, I would say it's looking really good. I was obviously very, very, very skeptical before Beyond came out. I did not like the sound of multiple writers and artists juggling the book around. You know, it had a possibility to become inconsistent, which to a degree it did. There was definitely a variation in the quality of writing and art and different things like that, but all in all, I think they really did pull it off. And there's a reason they're only doing 19 issues. That's because they probably could not pull it off long term. I think they've probably been crunching to do this, but I think I would give Beyond an overall positive rating. I have enjoyed it as a short era of Spider-Man, like a 6-month era of Spider-Man, and hopefully the new era after Beyond with Zeb Wells and John Romita Jr. can follow it up and be a proper successor to it, and also a successor to Nick Spencer's run, which I know a lot of people didn't like Nick Spencer's run. I actually did really enjoy it, so we'll see what they do. We'll see how it goes. I'm here for it. I'm excited to see it. We are nearing ever so close to issue 900. We are at 891, so a couple more months and we'll be at 900. It looks like I figured they were going to be lining up 900 with issue 1 of a new run. It looks like they're lining it up for the conclusion of the first storyline, like the first 6-issue arc. So we'll probably be, issue 1 will be like 894, no, 2, 3, 4, 895. And then issue 5, 96, 97, 98, 99, issue 6 will be issued 900. So I would guess that the series will probably start with one big 6-issue storyline that will conclude in 900 being a big deal. So I'm really excited to see previews of issue 900 and see what that cover's going to look like, what that book's going to look like, because obviously those are always huge milestones. I mean, 800 was the Red Goblin, 700 was the death of Peter Parker, you know, so this will be my third what's the proper word? Centennial? I don't know if that's the right word, but I have now picked up Spider-Man through issue 700, issue 800, and coming up on issue 900. So that'll be another huge milestone. Obviously, the big one's coming up in a few years. It'll probably be another, 4 or 5 years, but issue 1000, that's going to be a huge deal. So definitely looking forward to that. I think the future of Spider-Man is bright. Let's just put it that way. I think... I'm glad we're going back to the normal title, though. This title's fine, but it's not the classic title, and I'm glad we're going back to the classic title with the new run. But that is all of my pickups for this week. Definitely my pickups of the week, my favorites. I always save them for last. These Spider-Man issues were definitely my favorites that I picked up this week. Mark Bagley art, Patrick Gleason writing. Queen Goblin is okay. I don't love her. She's not a great villain, but she's okay. But these stories were really good. And then obviously Saga is definitely up there, and Carnage Forever is definitely up there. So Lots of good books coming out right now, man. If you guys are not picking up comic books, you are missing out. Go and pick up some books. But that's gonna do it for this episode of Around the Boxes. My throat is getting dry. I'm trying to drink water, but it's hard when there's no one else to talk because it's just silence while I take a sip. But yeah, that's gonna do it, man. I appreciate you guys watching, and appreciate, if you enjoyed this video or this series, hit that like button. That really, really, really does help me to kind of get feedback and see what you guys like, see what you guys don't like. I mean, even between episodes of Around the Boxes, I can see kind of what you guys prefer. Obviously, at the end of the day, I'm just going to do what I do, but definitely you can help me to get some feedback with your likes and your comments as well. I always appreciate getting comments when you guys, words of encouragement or, feedback, criticism, ideas, anything down below. I read every single comment I get on the channel, so I really appreciate that as well. If you are new here, and this is your first video of mine that you're seeing, consider checking out some of my other content and hitting that subscribe button if you do enjoy it. We do 2 main series right now. We have Around the Boxes every week. That is exactly what you just saw. My new pickups, as well as discussing different comic book things, as well as Webheads Comic Club. If you aren't, check that out. It's a podcast with me and JP. We are reading through every issue of Amazing Spider-Man. This most recent episode was issue 20 through 24, so we are about 25 issues in. So we have a long way to go to get all the way up to issue 900. So go and check that out as well, and hit that subscribe button if you want to see that content as it comes out. And like I said, I have some more content coming soon that will actually be diving into some different interests aside from comic books. I have comic book content coming, but we're going to be doing some different hobbies as well, some that I mentioned a few months ago when I did come back to the channel. So but I'm going to stop rambling now. I'll stop self-advertising. Appreciate you all. Check out my socials. Links are always in the description. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of those. Links are on my channel as well. So I will see you guys in the next video. It will probably be, on Monday, a new episode of Webheads right here on the channel. You guys can check that out if you want to read along with us. It is going to be 25 through 29.